As I entered the hospital room, I was warned by my family members that my grandfather looked different. I walked in and I saw this hairless, skinny man with no pigment in his skin. He was almost unrecognizable. He handed me this blue squared box wrapped in a white ribbon and told me to open it. Inside, I found a beautiful silver lock necklace. This is the key to my heart. When you wear it, I'll always be close to you. His powerful and loving words still echo in my head every time I wear the necklace.
My dad is a simple guy, a guy's guy. Few things make him happy. His dog, his boat, his truck, the ocean, his girls, in that order. My dad is quiet, but if you ask anyone who has sat next to him on that porch with his drink and his cigar, they would probably disagree. Raising two daughters, my dad didn't exactly always know what was going on. My mom would tell him we were at the movies, and he would be pacing the halls at 3 a.m. screaming, "This is an awful long movie, Elaine." My dad has this big macho exterior, but the truth is, and don't tell anyone, he's the biggest softie, especially with his girls.
Life is full of inspiration. Each person has their own opinion on what inspires them to think and do certain things. And in my opinion, my papa has inspired me most. He has taught me to be strong and appreciate life. And although he went through painful chemotherapy and radiation multiple times, he continued to have a positive outlook on life. He cherished each day as if it was his last, because his future was uncertain as he was suffering from a deadly cancer. In life, we tend to take things for granted, but my papa has taught me to never give up on my dreams. And although I was able to see he was scared and devastated because of his illness, he still took time to do what he loved the most. He went to his beach house often to sit by the ocean and watch his favorite things, the boats. But not only did he love watching the boats, the most important thing to him was his girls, his 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters, and his wife. He took care of us with love and cared about us more than the world. His sickness did not get in the way of his genuine love towards his family. It's inspirational to me that he does not let his cancer ruin his passion for what he enjoys the most. He has taught me to never let anything get in the way of what you love to do. Life is too short not to enjoy the things you love the most. My papa's sickness has helped me to see life in its broader aspect and made me to make many changes in my life. Now, I try my best not to let small things bother me, such as a bad grade or getting in a fight with your friend, because there are plenty of opportunities to make it up. Life is too short to harp on small things, and my papa has showed me how precious and priceless life is. My papa has made me into the enthusiastic, happy person I am today. Therefore, I hope to inspire others by setting a good example. By having a positive attitude, I hope it will go far in life while I spread my positive energy to my peers. It is important for people to recognize that life is not perfect and bad things are going to happen. My papa says that you can always make the best of a situation, no matter how bad it really is.
No matter what gender you are, or what nationality you are, or what religion you practice, you're always going to eventually be in a relationship. And when you're younger, the first relationship you really are exposed to is your parents. My parents got divorced when I was young, so I really didn't have this figure. So my grandparents, naturally, those are the people that I looked up to, and they met each other when they were in middle school. And the way they really taught me what's a good relationship, what makes a bad relationship, what you should look for and how you should be treated. And that's how I remember my grandfather, is the way you could see, if you were in a room with them, you could see how much and how passionate he was about my grandma and just how much he loved her. I remember a really cute story. I was sitting in the kitchen and my grandma's in her workout clothes and she comes down and my grandpa looks at me and goes, "How cute does your Nana look in those workout pants?" And that's just the main thing, is how he treated his wife, and it's something really memorable, and it takes a true man to really be able to say that about.
Because Death is This Feeling by Jeanette Miller. Because death is this feeling of emptiness and nothing, this voice that arrives like a whirlwind, blowing everything away. When they killed that woman, when they shot that man, we just stood there, silent in the smoke. Shame for the bones that multiply with every dreaded dawn. Shame for frozen fingers, for guts that stiffen, hidden from the sun, from roaring air. Tide of blood, licking feet with names and surnames, photo angles, and a final red smile like any crimson blossom. Song of a woodcutter from far away, cries of a mechanic to accompany it, and the work grows steadily in fears and silences, and the street is a risk. You think twice before going out for groceries or a meal, or to stretch like a wounded seagull on the island, preserve of predators, where blood gets cheaper every day.
Because Death is This Feeling by Jeanette Miller was about overall this place that's in danger and a lot of violence is happening. The first couple lines just suggest that death is this feeling of emptiness and nothing. It says like a whirlwind blowing everything away. So pretty much like all of a sudden it feels like everything is being wiped out and you're left with nothing. The next couple lines, Miller just talks about the danger that's happening, but then there are people who are just standing there in the smoke, and I read it as just bystanders watching everything happen and not really doing anything about it. But I also thought it was interesting how it creates an image of smoke, and it could also mean that, yeah, they're bystanders, but maybe it's hard for them to see, so they can't necessarily help them. There's all these explosions going on, so it's not like they don't want to do anything, but they can't. The next couple of lines of the poem just relate to the bystanders. The shame is repeated in each line, so it's just relating to how they feel. They feel this kind of shame for not helping, and that's how you feel when you can't really help. The next couple lines of the poem just discuss the type of things that are happening around this violence, and then it also talks about how all these people are silent and in fear, and they can't even go out for groceries or a meal, so they're scared to even step outside from all this danger. I think the main part of this poem, what Miller is trying to suggest, is that she's leaving the name and place out of this poem for a reason. I think that it's anonymous because she wants us to realize that this sort of danger and violence can happen any place and time that you are. So instead of specifying where it is, we can just picture that this could happen anywhere and it's possible. So it's not really necessary to give an exact place where this is. Maybe she doesn't even know. She's just talking about the general idea of how this kind of destruction can happen. Because Death is This Feeling reminded me of my grandfather and his illness, right away when I read the first couple of lines talking about how death feels like this emptiness and nothing, especially reminded me of when my papa was diagnosed. That's exactly how he felt, like there was nothing left to do in that moment, and he felt hopeless. He couldn't do anything to take away to the fact that he was sick. When I read a couple lines down, I realized that the image of hopelessness came up again when it talks about how people just stood there silent in the smoke while all these violent things were happening around them. And that reminded me of my papa too, because everything was still going on around him, but there wasn't much he could do being sick, and he feels hopeless again, and pretty much his whole journey he felt like that.
My dad and I have the most special relationship. He didn't always say a lot, but he didn't need to. I felt so adored and loved by my dad. An unconditional love from a strong man. I recently told the father of my daughters that he has given the same gift to my girls that my dad gave to me, and every girl should be lucky enough to get, which is to feel the safety and security of their father. To know that through life's milestones, and especially during the mistakes that you make, you will always have your man there, your dad. The ironic part of this eulogy and my dad's death was that he died during Hurricane Sandy. In fact, when we were sitting Shiva, one night got canceled because the waves were crashing over the seawall and we were close to getting actually evacuated out of our house. So I love the last paragraph the best of the eulogy, which said, "My dad had so much to live for. He's leaving a lot of girls behind. A lot of girls he's spoiled with his love. I can only think maybe he's ready to get some guy time and hang with his brothers and his dog, Briscoe. So I will try and take some solace today that my perfect guy is out there watching the perfect storm with no women on the boat, but all waiting home for him. And for everyone who loved my dad, come over today, look at the raging ocean, snuggle someone you love, pour yourself a drink, and toast the best guy I will ever know.